welcome back to the Just One Man podcast, or welcome to the Just One Man podcast if you are joining us for the first time. It's good to be back in the Iron Dragon in Merthyr, back to where it all first started 5 episodes ago.
5 episodes.
Which is mad. Glad to be back with another amazing guest for you this week, which is going to be an amazing chat, I think, and just going to unlock a different path where this podcast is going. Quick message from our sponsors. Our first sponsor for this episode is from Ewan from EJW Carpentry. From kitchens to bathrooms, media walls to bespoke wardrobes, EJW Carpentry is a top choice for high quality workmanship with a fantastic finish. Whether it's work needing done to indoors or outdoors, give EJW Carpentry a call for a free no obligation quote today. He's also on Facebook and Instagram, I believe, Mark,
He is on Instagram as well.
So pop along there, EJW Carpentry, give him a like, give him a follow, and see what the amazing work he does.
Very, very right indeed. And give him a text if you've got any carpentry work. Really, really high quality, really good stuff, and really appreciative that Ewan, who's a big supporter of men's mental health and mental health in general, has decided to sponsor the podcast. Our second sponsor is none other than the Full Spectrum Project, and a massive thank you to Gareth and Faith for kind of putting that sponsorship together. The Full Spectrum Project will actually be returning to the Scala in Merthyr on the 15th of March, Friday the 15th of March. Tickets for that are on sale now. If you don't know what Full Spectrum is, it's basically an evening of music, stand-up, spoken word, and as always, a couple of surprises chucked in. And it showcases the talent and the imagination of those from Merthyr and the surrounding areas. Some of the guests that they've got this time around are Sleazy Money, Lyndon Powell and Dennis Moriarty. But there's a whole host of really, really good acts that are going to be there. Tickets are on sale now, as I said, and all the money that's raised here goes to a charity very close to our hearts as well, which is Andy's Man Club. And there'll also be the legendary pop-up shop on site as well, where you can buy art, T-shirts, everything in between. So yeah, get your tickets from citizentickets.co.uk and search for Full Spectrum Project for that. So
good shop, mind. When the last one they done in the Scala,
it was awesome.
It was good.
The artwork was incredible.
And
art, CDs. No, it's huge. It's huge, and it's a really, really fun night. It's a really fun night. Yeah, next one's the 15th of March. It's Full Spectrum 14, which is incredible, really.
Go with virginity last.
We did our Full Spectrum virginity. That is not just our virginity. It's a family show. I'm really chuffed, and I'm really honoured to have our guest today, Richard Loveday.
Welcome,
Reg. Thanks for having me. Well, thank you for coming. All the way up from the south coast of Wales,
from Barry Bados.
From Barry Bados. I said in the kind of the show notes and the promo for this that you've got quite a unique story, but one that I think that's still very relatable, and I stick to that. We know each other from work, or certainly for me a past life of work, as I don't work here anymore. But I think that it's one of those stories which will resonate with a lot of people. And when I look at it now, I think about how much of a journey you've had from beginning to end. And I think it's incredible, and I'm really happy that you've decided that you'd come on and share some bits and bobs with us. So let's start at the beginning.
The very beginning.
You're from Port Talbot.
Born and bred.
What was growing up in Port Talbot like for you during the 1990s?
It's a bit of a funny one. I'm gay. like, and I've known this since I was about 5. I'd go as far as saying, I think it was Kevin Sorbo in Hercules and the Circle of Fire. I can pinpoint it. I would have been about 5 years old.
Okay.
When I was like, obviously didn't understand what you were feeling then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. So we were growing up in quite a religious family. So we went to church. We went to church maybe 3 times on a Sunday. So I mean, there was one time
one day.
Yeah, 3 times on a Sunday. So there was a time we'd go to the Baptist church, the Baptist chapel. Then we'd go to morning service, and then like evening mass, maybe. And it's quite funny because like if my mum, for instance, when people would say that, when you talk to people and say that we were like from a religious family, now my mum is maybe the antithesis of it. Like she always worked in pubs, and she was quite emotive, and she can string swear words, a sentence together like Shakespeare. It's like you hear insults and stuff that you've never heard before. But yeah, we were quite heavily involved in the church, so we were like in the choir and stuff, and I think it's the one thing with us that we noticed is that there was like a big sense of community.
Yeah.
Within the church, and like you made friends. Like if you were in with the choir, then you'd be in like different events, you'd know different people, and like still people that even now, when like I'm almost 35, like if I bump into in the street, they'll still recognize me.
Yeah.
From that. But it's quite funny because like I said, well, I knew from quite a young age that maybe I wasn't, I hate saying it, normal.
Right, yeah.
But you get that impression that you're not particularly normal. Mm-hmm. And then sort of going from there, like growing up in the 90s, like now it's come leaps and bounds with like acceptance and be who you want to be or be who you are and not feeling ashamed. But back then, like I can still even remember being in school and like get called gay as a slur. It'd be sort of like it'd be like, oh, you're gay, or you like this, so you're gay.
Yeah.
It used to be kind of like it wasn't sort of like I don't know, like an offensive word. It was just something you'd come out of, oh, shut up, gay boy, sort of thing. That sort of context, like.
Yeah. I would say that I think it was meant defensively, but I don't think that the
To harm. It was
that
just
the intent and the knowledge of what that word meant, or the full
what it means to you at that age, to other people at that age.
Well, that's the thing is, so like you kind of grow up in that environment then, like where, like say sort of school life, where it's like anything that is maybe not particularly masculine. So like you don't like football, so you're gay.
Yeah.
Or you like singing, so you're gay.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it sort of keeps going through it, or sort of it's like an insult that sort of carries through, because you still hear people today using things like slurs like that, and it's surprising. It's only sort of recently that you realise maybe things from back then, from like when you were younger, have had maybe a lot more of an impact. So like I say, I knew from quite a young age, and then between like hearing those sort of things, like anything that's out of the ordinary is gay or queer or anything like that, and then sort of like I said, like the whole religion thing, because it's only, again, it's now, it seems like they've caught up with the times, and back then it was a case of because and you can find anyone who's willing to quote a Bible verse that tells you that you go into hell because you're not straight, and it's like I say, it's only sort of more recently, the last few years, like when I've been to counselling, that you sort of realise the things that have resonated back through. So I think I had counselling through work. I was lucky, and it was after a breakup, and I remember talking to the counsellor, and she said the best way to understand maybe how you are and how you react to things is write down a list as far back as you can think of all of the things that you remember. And she said you'll be able to trace back and go, well, actually, because of this, that's how I react to this. And because of that,
I'll link into
I
it.
react to, and it's like only sort of recently that I'm able to put like those dots together.
Makes sense of it already.
That's it. And it's a lot to sort of contend with at the time. Like I said, growing up, knowing that you're not normal, and sort of like you're not sort of living up to the expectations of you. So I remember growing up, it was a case of you finish school, you go to college, finish college, go to university, you meet a nice girl, you marry, you have kids, and that's it. And like from an early age, it's sort of like
You knew it wasn't for you.
yeah, maybe not. Well, this, like I say, it was only when I was like sort of 16, 17 when I had my own group of friends where I was actually able to say, well, actually, do you know what? I think that's maybe not me, or that's. And even then, there was still a certain level of you've got to be careful what you say because, again,
Who you say it
who you say it to.
the rest of it,
It's surprising, and like I suffer with anxiety, and I can chalk it up to sort of the times when I came out to my friends, and again it was that thing. It was like, well, I'll say I'm bi because then it sort of softens the blow. Like it's sort of like a little bit more acceptable. And if you can, like, if you say that you're bi, you can always say later, oh, it was just a phase or something. And then sort of opening up to being able to open up to my friends and like having that sort of safe, like that safe community then, who sort of accepted you for who you are and they didn't care. But it was like, it's surprising from then on, like you said, being worried about who you're sort of speaking to, or like, so, because my mum, she worked in pubs and she knew everyone in town. And again, my father was like, we were all in the church and we had quite a lot of connections through the town. So to sort of be careful who you're telling, or like things like, and again, it's only sort of recently that I realised this sort of causing maybe issues, or like it's the impact of it is like you see your friends walking down the street and they can hold their hands with their boyfriend or girlfriend, and then it's like, well, you can't even walk too close because someone might see you and they might be like, well, do you know what, did you know your son was gay? And all that. And it's surprising, like I don't want to say it's almost like living two lives, but it is. And like, if you think back to when you were 15, 16, 17, like, I mean, that's not a fun time for anyone.
No.
Not for anyone. Everyone's grown up. I think we've all been through it, and it's tough times for everyone. And I think it's probably worse now. With social media side of it, because you imagine, like you say, I'm walking on the street with someone. You just the two of you walk down the street. Someone takes a photo, sends it, or puts it on Facebook, and oh, look at this in a WhatsApp group. You know what I mean? And then it's gone from this big to this big over nothing, and you feel you probably feel just horrendous, wouldn't you?
So was there any kind of point then? Because as you said, you had this feeling, this inkling of I'm not normal. I feel a different way about this and that, and I'm wired differently then, shall we say. Was there a period of time or anything where you kind of thought to yourself, oh, maybe it'll pass, maybe it's a phase, maybe this isn't me, maybe it's or was it always really kind of, no, I know categorically?
Well, it's funny because, like, I can say now, like I said, Kevin Talbot, I will say he was my awakening. I know he's probably a bit controversial now, but he was my awakening. But it's like even then, like even from then, like I still had girlfriends. I had girlfriends up until I was 13. And my last girlfriend broke up with me with one of my friends who is also gay now, which is what an interesting turn of events. But you sort of like, it's kind of like lingering there, lingering in the back, and it's like again, like I said, there was that expectation, and there was that.
Do you think you only done like that side of it, like having girlfriends, just for the expectation of everyone else, just because of the times and the way it was back then, just to just to try and like fit in a little bit extra and just try and be normal as.
So I remember it was the end, finishing year 3 in school. It's really weird because like the way my mind works is like I can remember specific events related to certain things. Like it's usually food related, but I can tell you where to get somewhere if you tell me if there's a McDonald's nearby. But I remember finishing year 3, and my girlfriend at the time was moving school, and I remember my mother's friend. I can remember, I see clear as day, sitting in the living room, and my mother's friend was over, and she said, "Oh, what are you going to do then?" She's supposed to. I said, "Oh, I call my ex-girlfriend," and I can remember her saying to me, "Oh, Lise, you can tell he's not going to be a shirt lifter." And I remember that, and to this day, like
You'll
never forget that. And there's that level of, oh well, I suppose that is like the normal thing. Like I said, around 13, I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, and like, again, 13, they weren't serious girlfriends.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And like I'd like friends, and like I grew close to friends. I was like, well, maybe this is what it's supposed to be like when you like a girl.
Yeah.
And like try and have a girlfriend or something, because that's kind of like, maybe this is what it's supposed to feel like. But in the back of your mind, you've got that thing where it's like, do you know what, maybe it's not quite normal, or maybe it's not. And again, there's that expectation where you grow up, you have a wife and kids and stuff like that, and then you've got the other side, like I said, from a religious background, where it's like, it's not right, it's kind of against God, or it's kind of against everything that you're taught in the church, or so you got those things. You sort of keep pushing it back until you can't hear it anymore, or you can still hear it, and you know it's there,
just
but
ignoring it.
Just ignore it, just to make things easier. Because like by the time I came out, a few of my friends had come out as well. Like I said, we were in quite a close like group, and then like I said, when you're a teenager, trying to understand yourself anyway, never mind anything else on top, it's difficult anyway. And then you'd hear stories like where your friends had maybe been found out, and like they were grounded for 6 or 7 months because their parents had found out that they were gay, or they had a boyfriend.
As if that's going to like stop everything. If in 6 or 7 months there'll be no gay people in the surrounding area to go out and find.
Like, what age were you comfortable with coming out and saying to just your friends that you could probably confide in your group?
Well, I'd say it was 60. So I remember we went to Laser Quest or Laser Zone with one of our friends for her birthday, and then we went out to TJ Fridays afterwards. And it's, again, this stupid stuff that I can remember. And this guy, we were all sitting on the table next to the window, and there was quite a few of us, and like 16, 15, 16. And a guy came past the window, and he around the window, and he's blowing kisses to everyone. And I was like, God, because everyone's having a laugh, you stand up and blow kisses back. And I remember sitting down, and the guy, my friend sitting next to me, turned to me and said, "So you bi?" I was like, well, shit. Do you know what? I think I might be. And it's funny. It's like it sort of went on from there. Like friends, like it was around about the time that Brokeback Mountain came out, and he'd be like, "Oh, what should we do on the weekend?" I was like, "Oh, I heard this is supposed to be a really good film," and stuff like that. And it sort of went from there, and it was. I can remember telling 2 friends in particular, and it was only when I went to a party then where I met my first boyfriend. I say I met my first boyfriend. I've known him since we were 7. Like we were in Scouts together. When I sort of was talking to people, and they were like, "Well, do you know about this person? Do you know that he might be gay?" And I was like, "Oh, is it? I didn't know." Yeah. Obviously, I did. I knew. I'd been talking to him. Yeah. And it was only then they were like, "Well, you start talking and say, I think I might be not straight." And And then sort of goes from there. Then. And it was good because a lot of my friends, they were like, if you can tell us, like one of them she was like, tell me on Monday. And if you tell me on Monday, I'll believe you. Yeah. And that's fine. Because it could be one of those things in the moment. I'm told them on Monday. And like I said, there's still, I don't see them now or speak to them, but like they were still part of that journey.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there was a girl. And I remember this. It was the Monday after. Again, she was from a particularly religious family. And they were all accepting and all. And I remember sitting there in art, and I asked her about a pencil. She said, pass me the pink pencil. She said, you'll probably want this now. I was like, oh, it's going to be like that.
Okay, we're playing the stereotype.
Yeah, we're going to be those people now. And it's surprising, like after that, it is a make or break. You kind of find out who your people are and who... maybe people you thought that you knew, you don't actually know as well, as much as you think. But then on the other side, like there's people that you maybe avoid telling, but they knew.
Yeah.
And they didn't care.
No.
It's
just waiting for you to tell.
Yeah. I can remember coming out to my mum at a party, like I'd been with my partner, it'd been about 3 or 4 years, 3 years, I think it'd been. I'd just come back from uni. That's it. And we were in a party, and it was his boss's party. And I remember the week up, I was telling, like, the week going up, I was talking to my mum about things, and she said, talking about my friend whose mother had just, still to this day, and we're talking, like, he's coming up to 35, still to this day, will not accept it.
Okay.
And talking to my mum, I said, oh, this happened. She goes, oh, if you're gay, you can tell. I was like, yeah, actually, I could never do that. But we grew up, my mum had gay friends. Like I said, we still kind of grew up around it. Like my mum was maybe more accepting than my father. Like just for a little bit of context, my dad was like ex-military, like from the Neath Valley, so like a mining village, and like, again, sort of we were growing up, it was kind of like, don't get someone pregnant, but like, don't come home and say you're gay.
Yeah.
And then it's only sort of like a little bit down.
Rather you not.
Don't do any of them.
Yeah.
He'll say.
But like my mum, like I remember it was this party with my mum, we were talking, and I said to her, so she's like, yeah. Do you know that he's, yeah. And I was like, do you know that like maybe we're like maybe like going out? And she's like, well, yeah, I've been waiting for you to tell me that. Like, we just driven you back from Aberystwyth. Like, we know he stayed up there for the week, and there's no sleeping bag. Like, we're not stupid.
Mums just know. Mums just know. And
100%.
What sort of school did you go to? Did you go to a Catholic, like a religious school, or was it not a part of the church?
It wasn't. It was like just a normal state school.
Right, okay.
Normal.
yeah, like just a normal comp.
Just a normal comp. But, yeah, but like, again, it's like an industrial town. If you get that, I don't want to say like that sort of mindset.
No.
But like, again, you brought up around sort of people who might not be as tolerant, shall we say.
But I think, like, still, like you say, it's still now people still don't accept it. And like, I all right, yeah, maybe they have got a different point of view on everything, but I think everyone should be who they want to be at the end of the day.
When I got brought up in a Catholic school, so Catholic primary school, Catholic comp, church every Saturday, and they didn't. There wasn't any mention. You've never seen a gay person in my school, or you ever think it was might have been,
Well, that you knew.
Oh, that I knew. Yeah, of course, that I knew. And I can imagine what sort of thing you would go in through, because it's just drummed into you, the fact that not allowed.
It's not allowed. It's not what we do.
Like when you said you come out to Mother, did you feel like a sigh of relief that you actually told her? And do you think you should have told her sooner? Or do you think it fell at the right time? But you already knew.
She knew. She, like I said, she knew.
She was just waiting for you to
waiting for me to say, yeah. I was like, well, if you knew that, why couldn't you tell me? Why couldn't you? Because that would have made me understand myself a little bit better. Yeah. Like, it's... and again, it's like when I was younger, it was... Maybe I was interested in the things that weren't particularly, like, or heteronormative or stuff like that then. So, like, say... like we were big wrestling fans in ours, for instance. But I could get away with watching that because it was what we all watched. But then at the same time, I was maybe a big supporter of like the women.
Yeah.
And like I liked Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I still do.
Great show. And if you're watching, that's Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to talk to you for two very different reasons.
But it is surprising, like those things, or like like I said, like the women's wrestling and stuff, and it's not because you could get away with saying, no, I'm watching it because, like, look at them. I had a poster of Tori Wilson that almost got me suspended, and I was 16 at the time, suspended from school. I can remember it was from the Star newspaper, and she's on a beach in a bikini, and the way they used to carry her out folded made it look like she was naked, and they were like, oh, again, one of those things, like no one's gonna look at me and go, oh, well, he's not straight or he's gay because he's he's got a naked woman on the front. It's like, well, first of all, I like watching her wrestling because I think it's fascinating. And I probably want to do her hair. Like, her hair is fabulous. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. No, it's I think the times are so different. You know, you look back to the 1990s, like you said, when you're in school and you're kind of having this very early kind of awakening to things. It wouldn't have been discussed in any school classrooms. It wouldn't have been discussed in the yard. It wouldn't have been discussed at the home, you know.
And like, who do you confide in to speak to about it, innit? Like, there's probably nobody you could really speak to.
That's the thing, is being able to think, like, you wouldn't think there was no one you could say, well, I feel in these things, or I'm thinking these things, and I can remember even saying to one of my friends before, and someone overheard, I remember saying, oh, so my best friend would say, if I was a girl, I'd go out with you, and someone overheard, and he goes, do you know, that's gay. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I know that, this, go play football. I mean, I'm not sporty, I've never been into, like, football or same rugby, but it's, yeah, they're different. And if you think about it as well, it's like the 90s, you're going into the 90s, they're coming off the back of, like, the AIDS epidemic and all of that stuff, and that's one of the things that sort of annoys me, is that there was a stigma around it, and there was this perception that gays it was a sinful, dirty thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, like you look at what I thought was it was an amazing TV show, and I'd recommend anyone to go and watch it, and that's It's a Sin.
No,
it was heartbreaking. And it was uncomfortable, but it was uncomfortable to watch because it was rooted in truth. You know, when you're seeing these poor men and young men and older men or whatever kind of treated like animals and being segregated on wards, and, you know, kind of what we then didn't see for another 20, 30 years until COVID, where, you know, you're kind of looking at them through glass and you can't touch them, and what, you know, because they had AIDS, and it's that fear of the unknown, and again, with the fear of things that aren't status quo and not normal, and because it's a minority group, which is just ridiculous, because it's as worthy a group status as any other. I just find it very sad that we kind of had to go through that. But I agree, like you said, you know, you would have come off the back of, you know, homosexuality being illegal for many, many years, and then when it was legal, it was still that, you know, that kind of dirty little secret. Yeah.
And I think the thing with it is that people, they sort of, well, like, from one perspective, you can understand, like, I don't want my son to be gay because of this terrible disease that they could get, that they will just get, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing of sort of, like, separating the sex from the sexuality.
Yeah.
So it's something like, even, and I was talking about it to someone now, I can't even remember how it came up in conversation. It's just like, usually when people are like, oh, I've heard you're gay, like, or back then maybe, like even like 10, 15 years, it'd be like, they focus on the sex part of it. Yeah. So it's like, you can't be gay without, like I said, without back then, without catching AIDS, because that's what happens, because you're having all this dirty sex. And then it's a lot of the insults then off the back of that is sort of framed around the sex thing. And like, again, like when you're talking to people, because I actually fell out with a few people on Facebook about this. I've unfriended them because it came out around Pride Month that there was a school, I think it was in Swansea, they sent out Pride homework. And it was sort of like I can't remember the question. There was loads of different ones you could do, like what does the pride flag mean, or different things like that. And then people were coming in and they were saying like, I don't like that for my child. I haven't got a problem with it. I've got gay friends, but I don't want them to know about that. And and again, it's that whole misconception that like it's just about the sex. Like, again,
it's not about that. And I can probably speak about that a little bit because my wife and I were in Merthyr Pride last year. They were Merthyr's first Pride, and it was fucking hell of a day out. It was brilliant. Like, literally singing, dancing, they were all there. It's an awesome day out, you know. And, you know, there was families going down there. I think it's fucking great.
Well, yeah, whereas you go back, like you said, you go back 10, 15 years. And I remember, you know, kind of a Cardiff Pride event, and we would go into Cardiff for a drink and seeing people kind of looking at these gay people and lesbians and trans on the train on the way down, or they go into that thing that they do. And yeah, whereas now you see it, and it's this huge social event, and there's things now that are part of the everyday schedule. You know, you think things like, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race is one of the most watched things on BBC television, and people, you know, and I happily say I love RuPaul's Drag Race, and I am absolutely in awe of the skill, the ability, but also when, you know, they always do those kind of close to camera, this is my, but the resilience of these really brave men to be themselves, and I think it's amazing that we're at the point where we can, you know, where we can have that.
The thing is, it's not a new thing, because if you think about it, we've had Paul O'Grady, we've had Lily Savage, there's been Dame Edna Everidge. Like, I can remember going to again with the church, going to Christmas pantos. Yeah. And there's always a date.
Oh, there's always a date.
There's always a date. Yeah. And they're not, there's nothing sexual about that. There's no sex involved in that. It's just, that is, and I think, like, for me, that's what it's been about, is that it's not about, like I said, the sex or whatever of it. It's I don't even say pride. Like it took me a while to sort of get on board with pride, because I was like, I'm still not quite comfortable with that. And I realised that for me, like, I went to Pride in Swansea, I think it was the year before last. And for me, it's not about being proud. It's about not feeling ashamed. Yeah. And not being made to feel ashamed for just being. Yeah. Like, I mean, like I said, 15, 16, it's like nobody's skin feels right. Nobody fits right into their own skin. Like, so if, like, someone has homework where they makes them aware of what's happening, or that these things are happening in the world, that there are people like me. Like, I'm not going to be just sitting there, because it was only after I came out that I realised how many of my friends were the same. Yeah. Oh, it's
you know, and I think all of us, you can, you know, kind of know people that we went through school with, or uni or college or work or whatever, or family or whatever, and it kind of, you know, and they kind of came out at varying points. But I think it's interesting when you look back at that timeline of when they came out, because you'd always have, like, your front runners, the ones who would kick, you know, Shania Twain type,
kick out the door,
kick the door off the hinges. And then you'd have kind of the ones you would hold back, and you kind of knew, and you'd be like, oh, I hope you get to that point. for you, I really hope you get to that point where one day you feel comfortable to do it.
The thing is, when, again, going back to being younger, it's like when you see those people who are obviously, like, off the bat, it's like and it doesn't matter what school you're in, it's like you'd always hear about someone in another school who was caught with a boy, or like, the sordid, dirty details of something that might be, like, completely innocent. And then you're like, well, I don't want that. I don't want people talking about me. I don't want to be that person.
No.
Because if they talk, because, like, I can think of examples now from, and we're talking like 15, 20 years ago. I can still remember the things that had been said about these people. And again, that's one of those things that's put in the back of your mind.
Yeah, it's always going around in your head thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, like I knew an individual who, after a night out, we were all staying in one room, and he shotgunned the bed, and one of the other boys decided that he didn't want to go on the floor, so he jumped in the bed, and there was absolute murders over it because of the potential implication and the image of. Even
that was like years ago, obviously when you were growing up.
Yeah, you know, but even then, I remember just thinking, but if there's nothing to it, then what are you so frightened about?
And if two consented adults decided that they did want to be a couple, even if they were sharing a bed and nothing was happening,
That's right.
it's nobody else's business.
I'd love to get everybody together and just shout at the people and just go, let people be who they want to fucking be. At the end of the day, they're only human. They live in the life as an. It's just
not doing nothing wrong. There's no. It does. I think people just try and put their views on what they think you should do. I think that's the bigger picture of it. And I think, from my point of view, I just think people should be who they want to be.
Mentioned counselling. And I know we spoke before, and you said that one of the findings, I suppose, of the counselling experience was your affinity for creativity and writing and art, etc.
I think it's something that, again, looking back, you can see, like, and again, those things that you did. Like, so I remember in reception copying Sunflowers by Van Gogh, however you say it. And ever since then, I've loved painting and drawing. And then, like, you're a little bit older and you start writing stories.
Which weren't copied, because that's plagiarism.
Stories.
Just to be clear, children.
Or poetry. Again, stuff that's not particularly thought to be particularly masculine. So something that you can do in sort of like an academic setting because that's expected. Even if although if you do a little bit above and beyond, or you're like good at doing those things, you do still get the piss taken out of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the things. So I remember after I'd split up with my ex-partner, I'd come home and like there was a lot to unpack after that. But my mum was like, we're back with my parents, she's like, is there anything you need? I said, can you just get me a notebook? So I've always carried like a notebook around with me. I've always just jotting stuff down since I was young. Like, we could be anywhere and you could just start writing. And I found like there was a lot of emotions, and like, so to put into context, in the space of 5 years, so I'd been with my first boyfriend for 13 years. We were working together. We split up because we just didn't know how to make each other happy anymore. Like, he's still my best friend. We're still friends, but like within that time, I'd been diagnosed with depression. I was put on antidepressants, and sort of like I was still trying to figure out what that meant for me. And like, it had an impact. It's going to have an impact because you sort of reworking yourself out again then, in the context of exactly, because it was nice because I was able to look back and go, well, that kind of makes sense that I've been like this. Like I can still remember the day I was like, I'm going to go to the doctor. We were painting a house. We were painting a living room in a house. I can give you the date. It was the 20th of January 2018, and Particles by Nothing But Thieves came on the radio, and I listened to it. I was like, do you know what? Something's not right. And then we're in the salon the day later, and one of the women was like, are you okay? I was like, yeah. She said, no, really now. Are you okay? I was like, do you know what? No, I don't think I am. You know, to the doctors and all that, and to my parents. Like, my dad's was a psychiatric nurse, and he was like, you know, you can talk to us, but if there's anything we can do, blah blah blah. But yeah, I've always had like been writing. And then I got into a relationship. I think it was 3 months after splitting up, and that didn't work out. And I'd come back home, and there was a lot of things that I was still trying to unpack. Like, I'd changed my job. Like, friends, the friend group that I had, it wasn't really there anymore, because even though I'd been friends with them for a long time, it was sort of like I was friends through my partner, and you sort of like you
drift away and
a little bit. You can be isolated, and then like to go from that into a relationship that didn't work again, to back at my parents, and again, like my parents are fantastic. Like, I know I said about my dad, maybe there was that sort of thing about being gay, but he's fantastic. I came home. I remember when we broke up, me and my partner broke up. We was out somewhere. I had to leave. I was like, I've got to go. I just can't be around people. And he followed me out, and I told him what had happened, because we hadn't told anyone that we'd split up. And he was like, Joe, it's like, if it's meant to be, it'll be fine. But you're going to be okay. You're going to, and I don't think he realizes
How much that meant.
how much that meant. I mean, like a couple of years ago when I was playing rugby in Pride, he came to Pride to watch us play touch rugby tournament. Like, that is like.
Which would have been unthinkable.
And you never would have thought you would have
Never would have thought it would have been in that point. But it was definitely, like, by the time I was going to counselling, there was a lot of stuff that I still hadn't properly processed. So my mum was like, anything you want to say, can you get me a notebook? And she bought a little black, and it was like a faux leather bound notebook. At the counter, she said she'd give me a few things. So like I said, it was make a timeline of all those different things, write a letter to X. And I said, I used to love drawing and painting and writing and stuff. She said, well, try it. She said, even if nothing comes from it, just write down how you're feeling. And because I find that a lot of the time, it's like things can be going on with me and I won't realise how I'm feeling until I've actually started writing it down, or just start mumbling, start talking to someone, and then it just snowballs into something where, like, actually, yeah, that makes sense. This is why I'm feeling like this. This is why this is going on. So that's how we started. I was just, as a way to cope, I'd take myself for a walk down the beach, and I'd just start writing. Or I'd
go to just de-stress.
Just to de-stress. Like growing up again, I'm a bookworm. Like, I love reading, and again, it's that escapism and being able to sort of focus on someone who isn't yourself. Like, you can see someone you might be able to identify, and they get a happy ending. It's like, well, I mean, if that can happen on there, what's to say I can't?
Yeah.
It's like you're actually in the book, not reading.
Exactly.
That's a
it. It's that, and
I do get that.
And that's how it's sort of snowballed.
So when you say about the little black book,
That's it.
oh, I haven't turned it round. See the very fetching photo of Richard in the back as well.
I just cycled back from Mumbles, so I cycled back from
Excuse.
Yeah, but you've actually got two books.
2 books, yeah.
Which is the Little Black Book and This Is Not Shakespeare.
So I always kind of cringe when I talk about it, because, like, my mum, like, I told her,
Because he's an author. We are now legit. We have an author on you as well.
So we go.
We can take that, YouTube. No, honestly, because I think anything like this is amazing, because I think that it's real, and it's you in written form.
And I think I sort of, like, we say it quite a lot during club, like, you don't actually understand the thoughts that are going on in your head till you've spoken the words that are in your head. Yeah. And I get that. And people don't actually realise it until they say it, but with you writing it down, your thoughts are in that book. Just the way as you go along and progressing.
I always cringe a little bit. Like I said, my mum is so super proud of me. Like, so, like I said, with the Little Black Book, that came, did that first, and it was something like there's a company online that you can go through, and it's something like 50 quid, and it's like a part of a challenge, write so many poems in so many days, and you get a book at the end of it. I was like, I'm going to do that. Well, I say I'm going to do that. I didn't really think I was going to do it until after I started writing. I'd already started writing these things, and as a way of dealing with everything that had happened the last few years. So it sort of pulled it to the front, and I was able to write it down. And then there was the fact that there was a lot of stuff that had happened that I hadn't told anyone. I hadn't told my parents. I hadn't told, so I got a younger sister, I'm older brother. Like, we're all really close. I'm so close to my sister and my mother in particular. But stuff that I wouldn't tell them because they'd seen how bad I had gotten with what they knew.
Yeah.
Like, never mind the rest of the stuff that was maybe attached to it. So,
do you think from writing that, when you wrote it down, was your escape from that because you didn't tell them?
Definitely. Well, I think what it was is there was a lot of different thoughts and feelings, and the only way you can describe it is like when you've got to clean under the stairs.
Yeah.
So everyone just chucks stuff under the stairs, and all I did was there were all of these different words and feelings and thoughts and sentences and all these different bits of me that were in a jumbled up mess that I just needed to pull out and see what stuck. On try and work it out and try and arrange it, and that's how I ended up with my little book.
And looking through this, the acknowledgement on there is 3 pages. Was it 3 pages? 3 pages long. Mam, Dad, Snap, Tom and Fran, Stefan, Grampy, Hobnob.
Yeah.
Hobnob. Oh, nice.
Let's talk about Hobnob.
Let's talk about Hobnob.
One of my friends, Amy, so she was probably the second person I told that I might not be straight. But yeah, it's...
And yeah, I think it's...
When you open it, that what you've put on there, this is for anyone clutching those broken pieces, trying so hard to hide their flaws, let them shine. What a great way to start.
So didn't they actually buy the book? Anyone buy it? We'll have to put the links in the video.
Truly, they're on Amazon. Everything else is on Amazon. So rather than buying like vacuum pack stuff for your winter clothes or a Ring doorbell, go and buy some books from Richard. And they are like I've skimmed through very, very quickly, but I think it's amazing. And I suppose you say about, I wasn't sporty, but you do have a link with the world of rugby.
Well, it's something that came out from counselling. So, like I say, I came out of a maybe a not so great relationship, and I had a list of things. So when I split up with my long-term partner, like I said, by the time we'd split up, like I was very aware of my flaws, and like I said, we didn't know to make each other anymore because we were different people. Maybe how we started, like we were 16, 17 when we started going.
People changed, didn't they?
Exactly. And then when I went into the next relationship, all of the good bits that I thought about me, I'd managed to be I was made to feel ashamed of. Like all the little parts that I thought, like my quirks and all the things that made me good. Like by the end of it, I didn't know who I was. I was basically trying to rearrange those pieces just to see what could come out of it. So I remember talking to the counsellor, and there's a list of things I was told that when I was in this relationship that I couldn't do or that I wasn't allowed to do. So like I took my nose piercing it. You'd never write a book. You want to join a gay rugby team? Why do you want to do that? That's a ridiculous idea. People that I hadn't spoken to or that I'd lost touch with because it was easier. So I had a list of things. I was working my way through. So like starting to write a book, and I was like, then I saw that I could get it published for 50 quid, and I was like, well, because I always feel like it's a bit of a cop out. I don't feel like I've put the time in. I'm not like H.G. Wells, or I'm not someone who's done this massive amount of work. I just stumbled on it as a way to survive. So then there was, I had my nose re-pierced. I mean, I've taken it out now because I'm almost 35 and I'm a respectable young man. And the other one was the rugby. So again, it was, being in school, I wasn't sporty, and growing up again, I was overweight. I had braces and glasses and I've still got curly hair. Like I was a nerd. Like I would rather play Tomb Raider than go outside and run around. It just, I had asthma. Like I fell off the wall bars. It set me up for the rest of school. I fell off the wall bars in year 7 and broke my ankle and my wrist, and I cried. And that was it. That's where I was remembered until I finished secondary school. Like, I wasn't sporty. And then I'd seen that someone had, like, before, in between my first relationship, my previous relationship, there was, I'd seen about the Cardiff Lions. And then I was like, oh, I'm thinking about it. And then it just didn't come off. And then when coming back out of a relationship, I was, like I said, there was those list of things that I was trying to work through. And one thing that I found that works for me is that doing things that take you out of your comfort zone. So the way I could describe it is like, I wasn't comfortable in my comfort zone. Where I wasn't happy. And like, you've got to do something that's going to change it up and push it. Like, I mean, like, so I joined the Swansea Vikings, which is one of the 3, I think there's 3 now, LGBT inclusive rugby teams, because I never would have joined a normal rugby team because I had no experience, and I tend to break when I get hit or when I fall over. Like, I'm clumsy enough as it is. And then it was a case of, I just turned up one day, messaged Carl, the captain, I think it was, and he was like, oh, we'll come this day and we'll be here, meet us there. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I was shitting my pants and shaking, driving all the way up to the rugby pitch. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't play rugby. Like, and again, I'm not in that community of like-minded gays then, because you kind of think, in my head, you think, like, the rugby boys tend to be really solid and it's a tight unit, and like, once you're in, and then you think about the gay community, then there's a perception that you're going to be judged because maybe you don't fit in or you're not quite. I mean, there's always that level of feeling that you're not going to fit in, and it was a case of, well, I'm going to do it, and I just bought a pair of togs, and then I turned up one week, and here we are. Like, been playing with them now for, I mean, I've been off some of the season because I'm waiting, I injured my back, but like, I've done some cracking things that I never would have done if it wasn't for them. So like, and met people that, again, once you get talking, you'd be surprised, like, the sort of backgrounds they've come from, and like, the reason they did it is for their mental health. Like, the time when I decided to go, I was in a despair with myself. It's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm supposed to, and how can I shake this feeling of just feeling just generally a bit useless, or how are you supposed to shake that off? And that's when I did that. And I mean, they're a great big bunch of gays, and they're fantastic. And it's not just that.
Is that their motto? Is that their club motto? A great big bunch of gays.
Team as well. It's probably like a community, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, you know. Everyone's. Yeah, exactly. You look at an all rugby team. You look how close they are. You know, week in, week out, they're there. Same goes for you, and I think that's great. Like, to have that on your doorstep.
Yeah, and like you said as well, it's like people's perspective of a normal rugby team. Then, big men in the change room, but no. What's it like with your team's kind of changing room antics? Then, is there any antics?
It's not that interesting, to be honest. Do you think so? Yeah, like, I was single at the time, and I was thinking, I'm going to back myself a rugby player. It just didn't happen, because you get to know him, and you're like, actually, you're a nice guy, but you know.
I always remember hearing once that you can tell a lot from a sports team by the music that they play in the changing room.
It's varied. It's so varied with them. It's like, so you're saying, like, you with the whole idea of what a typical rugby team looks like. And I remember turning up and I was thinking, oh my God, they're not going to be like spray tanned. They're all going to like, they're going to be like, I'm just not going to fit in. And they're like, they're just blokes. They're just guys. And you see them standing there, and then there's that whole, I'm not going to fit in because I'm not their type of gay. Actually, I'm not going to fit in because I'm not a rugby player. And you go over, and the first conversation you get is about Angela Lansbury. I was like, that's fantastic. These are my people. And it takes some time to sort of get to work past that. I suppose the fear, like even now, like when I was training, like you'd go and some days you go, oh, I feel like I'm going to let them down, and you turn up and they're like, oh, do us a favour, babes, like you're going to be fine, princess. And it's like, it's exactly what I needed. Exactly. It's like slay queen, yeah. It's amazing. And like with that, like I've been lucky because I've had some great experiences. Like I said, I went to my first Pride with them, and we played rugby, and we went out then afterwards. I had never done that. Like I'd never been sort of part of the gay community. Again, like if you think I was in a relationship quite young, and like we were still a little bit like on the down low, I'll say then. But then being able to go out and like go to like karaoke nights with them, and like again, that's one of the things that I don't really care about is that I will do karaoke and I will do it sober. Mainly because I'm terrified beforehand and I'm shaking like a shitting dog afterwards. But for those 3 minutes where I'm belting out Celine Dion or Mariah Carey, and it was fun because it's that sort of, like being part of that, like sort of the team and like my gateway into the community. Then that's because again, it's easier to find girlfriends, or it's easier to sort of walk up to someone in a pub, or it's more difficult with the whole like breaking into the gay community is like knowing how to do it then. Yeah. And like I said, I was lucky because the Vikings have been I don't want to say my gateway because it's so terrible, but have been my introduction then into like that big gay world.
You probably would have not done it without them, really. You wouldn't have gone out on your own and just gone somewhere to try and find something. And I get.
I've always found it quite funny how when someone says, oh, I'm gay, and it's normally a woman of a certain age, and she'll say, such and such is gay, as if they.
Yeah, well, it's funny because
they try to like match.
One lives in North Wales, one lives in South Wales. We all know each other.
Yeah, you say that it's surprising how close the gay community is because you're only like one or two people away from knowing one or two people away. Like so, perfect example would be my partner now. So like, I went on a date with my partner, and it was I wasn't looking for anything. Like we matched on Tinder, thought, we'll go for a cup of coffee, and I mean I got an hour. I got to go to a wedding afterwards, and then we ended up going up for staying up for food and for 3 hours, and then and he lived in with moved in with his parents in Barry after a breakup, and it turned out that I'd been on a date with his ex-boyfriend. Just beforehand, I didn't know this, and it was only when
long hour that is, isn't it, with that coffee?
Well, I didn't know this until afterwards, until after the fact, when Carl, the captain of the Vikings who lives in Swansea, he was like, "Oh, so you've been on a date with my friend Joe, have you? Who lives in Barry?" I was
Carl has a lot of explaining to do for a lot of these stories.
I was like, "How'd you? Yeah, me and Hatter with his partner, we're friends with him, and we go Pokemon going and stuff." I said, "Oh, did you realise you'd been out with his ex as well?" I was like, "I didn't know that. I didn't realise that, and now I do. And I'm never going to see him again." And yeah, almost too late. 2 years, a house and a dog later, and you. Yeah.
I think, like I said, when you talk about people, influences, good vibes, got to talk about Bailey. Yes. Probably the one of the most gorgeous dogs I've ever known in my life. As a dog owner myself, I know just how important those little four-legged friends can be for your mental health. They are sometimes they're lifesavers, and they've got no idea that they're lifesavers because they just only know one setting, which is mine is she's a riot, but. You've got such a special relationship with your dog, Bailey.
Yeah, he's my eyes and ears. He is. It was like you said, the mental health thing. It was after last year, last January. So again, January tends to be, I don't know if it's and I think anyone who's had mental health issues can probably attest that January is like the longest, worst, darkest, miserablest month. And I've always, historically, as long as I can remember, I've always struggled with it.
All 97 weeks of it.
All 97.
I think everyone will say that they struggle with January, to be honest. I think it's...
And I have this rule, like I don't make any big decisions in January, because it's not a good time because you don't really, for me personally, I don't really know myself. I don't really know myself. And last year was particularly bad. Like it was, I'd say it was tantamount to a crisis. Like it was got very dark last January, and I'd end up changing my antidepressants, and yay, we were settling in, and I'd done research online, and they say that having a dog can help with your mental health. And I mean, it's not just for that, because I don't think a house is a house without a dog. I mean, we've got 2 cats, and as lovely as they are, they're not dogs. They're quite independent. They're quite independent. Dog, yeah. But
there's something about a dog.
It was, yeah. So we ended up got him. I mean, around about the 2-week mark, when he was torturing the cat and he was pissing everywhere, and I was like, what have we done? What have we done? Because this is like we haven't slept properly for 2 weeks. This is insane.
And that was just to confirm, that was Bailey, not Joe.
That was Bailey, not Joe. But yeah, but it's good because he literally drags me out. Like he's the reason because I could, at my worst, I could sleep. I can go to bed,
hide away from it,
and like I wouldn't say that I'm. I don't know how to explain this. I'd go to bed sometimes and I'd think, if I didn't wake up, then I would be okay with that. Like at my worst, like I'd be like, I don't get the point of me waking up now. I don't get the point of, and like, I mean, when Joe goes to work, the dog's on the bed and he wakes you up because he wants to get fed, because he's in a routine, and it's good because like you don't have the chance to sit in bed or lay in bed and
start. He's got you up and
exactly
away to go.
You've got to, I mean,
you've got that reason to get out of bed.
Exactly, and then the reason to go out, because even in the rain, walking out in the rain, it's like, I mean, it's sort of like he's like, I know I kind of got to go for a walk, and I'm like, I know you got to go for a walk, but neither of us wants to get wet, but it's worth it, because you've got to do it. He's got to get out and about, and that's what I think, like, now, like, leaving him in the house earlier, like I work from home most of the time, and I'm lucky because he's there, and he'll, like, it's not the best when I'm in the middle of a meeting and he sprawls on the laptop, but, you know, it's, looking back at that, I wouldn't be at this point now if perhaps all of those other things that I'd struggled with, or all those things hadn't turned out the way that they did. Like, I wouldn't be, like, I mean, I've got a good life. I'm lucky. Like, I still have days with my mental health, and I'm able to sort of, I don't know, like, my ways of coping. Like, I've got, like, reading, like, the Matt Haig books. I don't know if anyone's read those, the Reason to Stay Alive and all those. And then I got Bailey then to drag me out, and we're not far from the beach, and I can still do all those things, and I wouldn't be here where I am, like with you guys now, if I hadn't maybe had all those really shitty things that at the time you think, I wish, why me? Why is it happening? And it's surprising. It all does come round. And no doubt when I get in, like, he'll have been fed, and when I get in, he'll attack me, and he'll be insane. But,
you wouldn't want it any other way?
Oh, no, God, no. I mean, the scratches from his dew claws, I mean, like, I'll take those. Yeah. I'll take those, or when he kisses in between your teeth, that's it's definitely something.
You can taste his lunch.
Yeah.
I had that yesterday.
Well, it's for human consumption.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I suppose if you were going to wrap it up, if you were going to say, right, if there was anybody who was watching this episode or listening to this episode, and maybe they're gay, maybe they don't know to tell people, maybe they have told people and they're struggling with their sexuality, maybe they've got problems in relationship or in mental health circles, what would you say to anyone who maybe even at a small point in your life, has been similar to you, what would you say to him?
I definitely say give yourself a break. That's the first thing. Like, there's no need to be so hard on yourself, and it goes for anyone, I'd say, with mental health issues or depression or anything like this. Don't get so hard on yourself, because I know, like, when I've been bad, like, I can say, well, why do I feel like this? Because things are good, things are going right, why do I feel like this? Look, when other people are going through worse things, like, and they seem to be getting on, it's like, you don't understand, you don't know what anyone's going through really, but don't compare yourself to other people, and don't be so hard on yourself. And in terms of, it'd be nice to get to the point where we don't need to come out. Like, that would be like the thing. Like, you
don't need to tell anyone, it's just normal.
Exactly. And it's like, so I've got two nieces and a nephew. My sister-in-law, she's fantastic at sending. She just knows. She'll just send a picture or something when I'm not right. She just knows, and just instantly brighten up. But I remember when they were born, the three of them, when they were born, I had this moment. I was like, there's this person, they don't know anything, and they can literally be anything. And, like, they don't know all the bad things that have happened, or they've got no prejudice or anything. And it's just brilliant. Like, they when they are older, hopefully they should, like, I've never had to come out to them, because it's just been Uncle Rich has got a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Uncle Rich has got a boyfriend who's got Pokemon cards. Can we have a look at Pokemon cards? That's all it's been. So it's, I definitely say, don't be so hard on yourself, and you don't owe anyone anything. You don't have to explain anything to anyone. And if anyone doesn't get it or get you, or it's their problem. It's not on you. It's like,
they're not the type of people you need to be spending time with.
That's the thing. You might not be everybody's cup of tea, but some people drink shit coffee.
Yeah, I like that.
Very true.
But I think, you are you're a testament to kind of the gay community and stuff, doing all this, writing the books, coming on the podcast, speaking about your past, speaking about your feelings. And
I just hope people can relate to your story as well, and just be like, well, do you know what? Yeah, fuck it.
That's the thing. If someone hears something and like, well, actually,
then I think, that's where we need to get. And
I think your kind of your mental ability to go back in time and pinpoint them specific points to a reference is absolutely amazing.
I can't remember what I done today in work.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's like the day-to-day is irrelevant, but I kind of stupid that I'll remember it.
But thank you very much for coming on. It's been absolutely
very much. And as we've said, if you do fancy having a nose, we think they're on Amazon. We think they're on Amazon. You have a look for the link, and Richard's got some books out. Just another thank you to EJW Carpentry in UN, and also the Full Spectrum Project. And also, we talked about drag queens and that earlier on. There will be a drag queen at Full Spectrum as well.
That will be a great night.
Martha Tidville. Or Martha Tidville? It's like Martha Tidville.
I think she was in Pride.
Merthyr Pride, yeah. Hilarious. Get involved.
So yeah, it'll be...
I'm sure us three will be there.
Yes.
I'll definitely be there. So,
and maybe in the future, Gareth and Faith, you may want someone to do some spoken word poetry or anything at a future Full Spectrum. We'll be back again.
We will. Thank you very much to the Iron Dragon once again for letting us use this fantastic facility again. And
get on the socials, share everything we share. YouTube,
like, subscribe, follow, comment,
support is just amazing at the minute, guys. We do speak between the three of us every week. We're just glad everyone's behind us at the moment.
So let's sign off then.
I know.
We'll see you next time.
Next time.